You're 9 years old and your first heavy bag is a sun-faded mattress roped to a fence. You kick it until the springs rattle and dust clouds bloom in the air. Your foot hurts. You keep going. You call it training. No one told you to. No coach, no older cousin, no dad yelling instructions. You saw it in a clip. Walk out blasting pads in slow motion, veins like ropes, the crowd screaming. Something in you said, that's what I'm supposed to do. So you did. Your friends are off playing video games. You're out here barefoot, shirtless, sweat drying in the heat like salt crust. You're not dreaming about money or fame. You just want to kick harder, cleaner. You want that snap, that pop, that moment where the whole world sounds like your shin cracking against leather. That's how it begins for most of us. Not in a dojo, not in a fitness class, but alone, watching low-resolution YouTube highlights and thinking I could be him. You pause the video when Senchai fakes left and elbow spins right, then rewind it 20 times to study the foot placement. You don't even know what orthodox means yet, but you already believe you're destined for greatness. No one tells you how many believe the same thing, or how few make it out. Eventually, you find a real gym, or it finds you. Somewhere hot, humid, with more buckets than showers. You step inside and the air smells like tiger balm and old rope. No music. Just pads being kicked and coaches yelling in Thai. You're nervous. You shouldn't be. Everyone starts at zero here, but still, you tape your hands wrong. You flinch when the bag swings back. You learn fast. The training isn't fun. That word disappears early. There's no praise for effort, just a grunt if you did it right and a slap if you didn't. You run 5 kilometers before class, barefoot if you can't afford shoes. You do 300 knees on the bag until your hip cramps. You try to hold pads and get knocked back 5 feet. Everyone else looks smoother, faster, sharper. You tell yourself they started earlier, but so did you. You just didn't know it yet. Then comes your first fight, some local event, maybe a temple fair or a dusty ring outside a food market. The gloves are twice your size. The other kid stares at you like he's already decided how it ends. You're terrified. Then the bell rings, and the fear becomes electricity. You land a body kick and the crowd yells, just once. That yell sticks with you. You lose the fight, but you don't care. You felt it. That thing. The thing that made you fall in love with this game in the first place. Control, power, purpose. And now you're hooked. You train every day. You skip birthdays, weddings, family trips. You don't go out unless it's to run sprints or hit pads. You fight once a month, twice if your body holds. The money? Barely enough for dinner. But you're convinced it'll change. You'll make it. You'll be the next Rodtang, or better. You'll be the name the crowd chants when the lights go out and the music hits. People start noticing. Your clinch is nasty, your elbows cut. You're the toughest in the gym, but there's always someone tougher. Always a name just ahead of yours on the card. Always someone the promoters push harder. Still, you don't back down. Because deep inside, you still believe this story ends the way it started. With you, a star under the lights. You don't know yet that most fighters never get that ending. But that's the thing about Muay Thai. It doesn't break your belief all at once. It does it slow, quiet. With bruises that never heal and dreams that shrink just a little more each year. But right now, you're still that kid with a cracked shin, a wild heart, and a mattress for a bag. And that's enough. You wake up sore, always. Not the kind of sore that fades after a stretch. The kind that sinks into your bones and builds a home. Your right shin is swollen again. You can't remember the last time it wasn't. Your neck clicks when you turn too fast from all the clinch work. You think about taking a day off. Then you think about the kid behind you on the roster. You get up, you run. Not because you want to, because everyone does. Fighters don't sleep in, fighters run at dawn. 5 kilometers minimum, you count each breath like a prayer, then you eat. White rice, egg, maybe some chicken if you've got it. Then it's gym. Same drills, same sweat, same pads, same cement floor, no air conditioning, no mercy. Your hands are always bruised, wrists taped, ankles wrapped, knees iced after sparring if there's ice. You kick the bag until your shin goes numb. Then you switch legs, then you do it again. You clinch with someone 15 pounds heavier because no one fights guys their own size here. Not in training, not in life. You fight for small crowds, a few hundred baht, maybe 1,000 if it's a big card. You hand over 30% to your trainer, a little more to the gym. You keep the rest, maybe 300 baht, $9. You smile and say thank you, that's the game. Meanwhile, you watch MMA fighters get paid $50,000 bonuses for knockouts. Guys with padded records, soft chins, and Netflix tattoos. You know you'd destroy half of them in a ring, but that's not how it works. They're stars. You're just a knock muay. You train like a world champion. You live like a dishwasher. You share a one-room apartment with two teammates. One of them snores through his broken nose. The other limps every morning from a knee he never got fixed. You rotate who buys dinner? Most days, it's instant noodles with raw eggs stirred in. You call it recovery fuel. You joke about it. But it stings. You start seeing Muay Thai differently. Not as glory, but survival. Not as fame, but grind. You take every fight they offer, short notice, wrong weight class, no matter. You need the money, you need the momentum, you need the illusion that things are moving forward. You tell yourself the right person will notice, that one good KO will go viral, that if you land that flying elbow just right, everything will change. You imagine a promoter in Japan or one championship stumbling across your highlight reel. You imagine a call, a contract, a breakthrough. But deep down, you're starting to feel it, the truth creeping in around the edges. This sport isn't fair. It never was. It's not just about skill. It's about stories. It's about marketing. It's about who screams louder at weigh-ins. You don't scream, you just fight. You spar with guys who've already been to the top, Lumpini champions who now hold pads for foreigners. They move like shadows, still sharp, still dangerous, but invisible. You wonder if that's your future. You wonder if the dream ends in someone else's corner, holding pads and pretending you don't miss it. You try not to think about it. You focus on the next camp, the next fight, the next cut. You train through injuries, tape over cracks, ice what's left, pain becomes background noise, and still, you believe, because you have to. Because if you stop believing, even for a second, it all collapses. The pain, the poverty, the sacrifice. It has to mean something, right? You just need one shot, one finish, one lucky break. But every time you reach for it, it moves. You finally get the call. It's not a title shot, not a big promotion, but it's something, your name printed on a poster with a decent purse and real eyes watching. You train like your life depends on it, because it does. You don't party, you don't rest. You cut weight with plastic wrap and spit into water bottles like your jaw's a faucet. You dream of walking out to flashing lights and someone in the crowd screaming your name. You win. A clean fight. Tactical. Precise. You land sharp teeps, dump your opponent with authority, and elbow him open in the third round. It goes to decision, but you dominate. You go back to the locker room bleeding, but smiling. This was supposed to be the moment that changed everything. It isn't. No press, no follow-up offer, no contract, no repost from the promotion, no calls from Japan, one, or anywhere else. You check your phone every hour like it's broken. You clip the fight yourself, post it to Instagram with a caption that says, "Next up, 100 likes, 2 comments, that's it." Meanwhile, some loudmouth fighter with dyed hair and 4 fights is getting flown to Singapore for a card with pyrotechnics. He's got a brand deal. You've got a torn shin and a past due rent bill. You know you're better. That's the part that kills you. You've outclinched fighters who've headlined, you've outlasted legends in sparring wars, but when it comes to visibility, you're a ghost. And in Muay Thai, ghosts don't get paid. You start teaching more on the side. Pads for tourists, conditioning classes for rich teenagers. You used to judge those guys for showing up in brand new Fairtex gear and needing water after 2 rounds. Now, you count on them to pay your electric bill. You tell yourself, this is temporary. A small detour that you're still climbing, still in it, still one fight away. But your body starts whispering otherwise. Your hip aches when you turn over on your left kick. Your neck doesn't turn all the way anymore. Your left wrist clicks every time you wrap it. You can't remember the last time you sparred without painkillers. You stop going to certain gyms. Too many hungry kids, too many hard rounds, too much risk for too little return. Then one day, you see a clip go viral. A fighter half your experience lands a flying knee KO and gets signed the next morning. He's got a 6-pack, a manager, and a camera crew. You watch it loop on your feed while you're wrapping your own pads with duct tape. You whisper, "I would kill him," but you never say it out loud, because it doesn't matter. He's marketable. You're not. He fits the narrative. You don't. He screams at weigh-ins and throws push kicks at the press conference. You bow, shake hands, and leave the ring quietly. You think about changing your style, becoming flashier, talking louder, but it's not who you are. You were taught Muay Thai was about respect, about showing your skill, not selling it. But that doesn't pay. So you keep training, keep taping, keep chasing, because what else is there? You were so close. You tasted it, felt it, and then it slipped through your fingers like every other promise this sport makes. That's when it really sinks in. You almost made it. And almost means nothing here. You're still fighting, still showing up. But your body's writing checks, your heart can't cover anymore. The shin that used to land like a baseball bat, now it swells after 2 rounds on pads. Your right knee grinds with every step like sandpaper on bone. You stretch longer than you train. You ice everything and still wake up stiff. Some days you limp to the gym and lie to your trainer, "I'm good." Because if you say otherwise, someone younger gets your slot. They always do. You used to walk in and light up the room. Now, the new guys barely notice you. They crowd the mirror, flexing, filming combos you've thrown 1,000 times. You watch one kid land a flashy spinning elbow on the bag and yell, "Tag me in that." You land the same elbow in a real fight and no one cares. You try not to resent them. But it's hard when they're getting free gear while you're washing your only shorts in the sink. It's hard when they're going viral and getting flown out to fight for $5,000 while you're still accepting $500 bouts just to pay rent. You whisper, "They haven't earned it," but deep down you know this game doesn't care who earned what. It only cares who draws clicks. You were built for war, not Wi-Fi. The promoters care more about who you've trained with than who you've beaten. You see guys with padded records getting main events because they scream on the mic and throw push kicks at weigh-ins. You bow, you wait, you fight, but it's not enough anymore. Even your trainer looks at you differently now. He used to push you, build you. Now he mostly uses you as a sparring partner for the younger prospects. "Help him get ready," he says. You nod, you take the shots. You tell the kid, "Good elbow." He nods, walks off, doesn't ask if you're okay. You don't expect him to. You didn't when you were him either. You train for a comeback, one last run, a card overseas. You go all in. Strict diet, hard sparring, social media push. You win, barely. A split decision against a younger opponent. Your body screams, but you finish on your feet. You should feel proud. You don't. No one posts about it, no rematch offered, no bonus, just your cut of the purse and a handshake. You scroll online and see a guy with no elbows, no clinch, no rhythm getting 10 times your purse for a 3-minute knockout in MMA gloves. You whisper, "He couldn't last 2 rounds with me." But no one's asking you to prove it. You realize you've done everything right, and it still wasn't enough. You trained through injuries, fought in silence, stayed humble, stayed sharp, and still, the sport passed you by. You used to dream of being the next Buakaw. Now, you just want to be remembered. But Muay Thai doesn't remember. Not unless you win Lumpany titles. Not unless you bleed on camera in the right lighting with the right soundtrack. You're a fighter with broken tools. A blade with no handle, a name with no push. You gave the sport your youth. It gave you back pain and a library of invisible wars. And still, you show up because you don't know how to stop. Now you coach. Not officially, not for a paycheck, but you're the one who knows when to speak and when to just nod. You wrap hands, hold pads, tie gloves for kids who still believe Muay Thai is magic. You don't kill their dream. You can't. You remember how badly you needed yours to feel real. You teach the basics with care. You tell them to keep their hands up, but not out of fear. You tell them to breathe through the clinch, to relax into the chaos. You give them everything you wish someone had given you, because part of you still hopes they'll make it farther. But you know, most of them won't. You watch them land flashy kicks and smile at their own reflection. You don't say what you're thinking, that mirror lies. It doesn't show the sacrifice, the damage, the loneliness. It just shows a fighter standing tall in clean wraps, unaware of how far the fall really is. Sometimes a kid asks, "Did you ever fight big names?" You smile. You say, "Yeah, a few." You don't say you lost half those fights. You don't say you fought injured. You don't say you never got the push, never had the manager, never played the social media game. You don't tell them you still ice your hip before bed, that your right hand hasn't closed properly in years, that your last fight was supposed to be the one that changed everything, and it didn't. You still train sometimes, quietly, in the corner of the gym when no one's watching. You shadowbox without power, just rhythm. You hit pads with a younger coach, more for form than impact. You still move well, for someone with mileage, but you feel it, deep in the joints, in the breath, in the heart. You're not chasing anything anymore, not a title, not a payday, not respect. You're just trying to stay close to the thing that once made you feel alive. You go home to a room with no trophies, just wraps hanging from a nail, a bucket of Tiger Balm, a pair of gloves with more history than padding. Your phone buzzes, a clip of Rod Tang elbowing someone into orbit. The caption calls him a once-in-a-generation. You nod. He is. You once thought you'd be that. You believed it with everything. You kicked until your shins bled, cut weight until your vision blurred, took fights on 3 days' notice because saying no felt like quitting. You whispered your heroes' names before walking out into smoke-filled arenas with 200 people and 0 cameras. And even though you never got the spotlight, you fought like someone who had it. You fought like it meant something, because to you, it always did. Now, when people see you, they don't see a fighter. They see a coach, a gym guy, a maybe used to be, and that's fine. You're tired of explaining what it was like, how it felt, how much it took. But sometimes, late, after hours, you walk past the ring and pause. You stare at the canvas. You remember what it felt like to be under the lights, just for a moment, the bell, the crowd, the silence between rounds, the place where you belong, and you wonder if the ring misses you back. But it doesn't. It never did. And that's why it sucks to be a Muay Thai fighter.